Early in the pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was everybody's favorite not Trump. He was so not Trump that many of my liberal friends were suggesting that Joe Biden drop out of the presidential race and Cuomo step in. His COVID briefings were like morning prayers to the true believers who were really warming up to locking down, the people I call the branch Covidians. Only a couple weeks into flattening the curve, Democrats swooned as Cuomo went on the attack. When Trump's people sent him 400 ventilators, rather than saying thank you, he said this instead, quote, "You want a pat on the back for sending 400 ventilators? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You picked the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators," close quote. Whoa, sick burn. Never mind that Cuomo didn't know the difference between 400 and 4,000. Every Trump hater in America still got all warm and runny. Suddenly, Cuomo was America's governor. He won a $4 million book deal and an Emmy for his press briefings. But as the virus subsided and the hated orange terror was sent packing, things started going bad for Cuomo in a hurry. The first allegations of sexual misconduct hit the news in December of 2020. Then in February, it was revealed that Cuomo's people had cooked the books to cover up deaths related to him sending COVID patients from hospitals into nursing homes. And now, after 5 months of investigations, listen to what New York's Attorney General had to say. It'll just take 2 minutes.
Over the course of the 5-month investigation, the investigators spoke to 179 individuals, including complainants, current and former members of the executive chamber, state troopers, additional state employees, and others who interacted regularly with the governor. In addition, they reviewed more than 74,000 pieces of evidence, including documents, emails, texts, audio files, and pictures. These interviews and pieces of evidence reveal a deeply disturbing yet clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws. The independent investigation found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, many of whom were young women, by engaging in unwanted groping, kisses, hugging, and by making inappropriate comments. Further, the governor and his senior team took actions to retaliate against at least one former employee for coming forward with her story, her truth. And Governor Cuomo's administration fostered a toxic workplace that enabled harassment and created a hostile work environment where staffers did not feel comfortable coming forward with complaints about sexual harassment due to a climate of fear and given the power dynamics. The investigators found that Governor Cuomo's actions and those of the executive chamber violated multiple state and federal laws, as well as the executive chamber's own written policies. This investigation has revealed conduct that corrodes the very fabric and character of our state government and shines light on injustice that can be present at the highest levels of government. But none of this would have been illuminated if not for the heroic women who came forward. And I am inspired by all the brave women who came forward. But more importantly, I believe them, and I thank them for their bravery.
You see, the important thing is that she believes them. They spoke their truth. And now, like so many others, Democrats are preparing to sacrifice another of their own to the gods of political correctness. Don't get me wrong, YouTube censors. I'm not saying that kissing a woman on the forehead is not sexual assault. Are we good? All right. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and every congressman from New York have called for Cuomo to step down. But the governor still thinks it'll all blow over because, the pandemic. According to Helene Olin, the former Slate journalist who now writes a column for the Washington Post, nobody in New York ever really liked Andrew Cuomo. They just got confused there for a little while. Quote, Cuomo governs in a take-no-prisoners, control-freak style. For the past decade, the governor has bullied and threatened Democrats and Republicans alike, not to mention political appointees. When a political commission studying state corruption appeared to get too close to Cuomo's inner circle, he shut it down. He threatened to put the Progressive Working Families Party out of business if they ran a candidate against him in 2018. He denied it when called out on it in public, but that didn't stop him from trying it. Close quote. So, not a fan? She went on to say, quote, "In fact, Cuomo's COVID-19 news conferences were television news-enabled fraud. While the governor played the role of a tough-talking paterfamilias successfully combating a dread disease, the state actually suffered the second highest per capita death rate from COVID-19 in the United States." Close quote. As Letitia James mentioned earlier, Cuomo might be up on criminal charges. Criminal investigations in 3 counties are now pending. And Cuomo has no place to go. His former squeeze sold the house they shared. He doesn't even have an apartment. At this point, Cuomo might as well lock himself up in the mansion like Tony Montana, waiting to go out in a blaze of glory. Say hello to my little friend. This is the problem with a political party that runs primarily on victim ideology while also requiring collective opinion. It's all rosy as long as the other side is doing something wrong, but that doesn't work anymore at the state level. Not in an all-blue state. The American left has made most of the unfortunate aspects of male human nature into sins that must be punished. But the drive to eliminate Republicans entirely from their state's political bodies has left Democrats in a real pickle. The places they've set up as beacons for woke activism are entirely free of Republicans. The Me Too movement was first promoted as a tool to derail Trump's presidency, but it ended up sending many of their own celebrities into permanent exile, never to be mentioned again. Because all of the most active activists in the wokosphere live and work only with and for other Democrats. There's nobody to burn at the stake except each other. This sort of thing happens time and time again. On the left, the rules change constantly by public consensus, and nobody can stay ahead of it. What was normal behavior last year will be a career-ending scandal next year, and penalties are always applied retroactively. Every woman who Cuomo ever hugged is now lining up to be called a hero by the activist black female attorney general. Out here in California, Gavin Newsom is spending millions to try to make himself look good. He's fighting for his political life, and every week it looks worse for him. It's virtually a dead heat now, and a majority of Hispanic voters say they want him out. Last year, Newsom was the country's second most popular, not Trump. California followed New York's lead in COVID shutdowns, setting the tone for the rest of the blue states. And now, as Andy burns to the ground, Californians are having a hard time remembering why they ever voted for Gav. Cheer up, Gav. California usually imitates New York. Cuomo going down is not good news for Newsom. How can New York not impeach Andrew Cuomo? He's clearly a serial hugger, but he won't just leave, because he's also pretty much a classic narcissist. They'll have to call security on this guy. I'm not one to applaud when troubles befall another human being, but I watched pretty carefully as the Democratic Torch Brigade went after Donald Trump for 5 long years. Really, that too was mostly punishment for breaking PC protocols. It's really hard to feel sorry for any Democratic politician. Reap what you sow and all that jazz. So it's going to be morbidly entertaining to watch them as they tear apart the son of liberal saint Mario Cuomo. This 3-term governor who was once married to Bobby Kennedy's super woke daughter. This big brother of the CNN anchor who led the media siege against Donald Trump. I'd say that it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, but it has happened to many nicer guys, and it will happen to many more. How will they destroy his reputation without making themselves look like fools for having exalted him last year? Don't worry. It'll all go down the memory hole like everything else. Meanwhile, 4 or 5 chicks that Chris Cuomo used to date before he became rich and famous are strolling down memory lane, wondering if all that sex was really consensual after all. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.